Observable signs of concussion and cognitive screening performance in community sports. So this one looked at whether or not people displayed outward signs that they had been concussed or whether they did not. Okay. So they underwent baseline preseason assessments, which was the SCAT-3 cog state, depression, anxiety, and stress 21-item screener scale. Trained personnel were on the sidelines to witness in person during all 60 seasonal matches, observing the possible signs of concussion following a head impact. Players with head impact who demonstrated a sign of concussion during the match underwent testing after the match to see, and they utilized the same baseline measures. Those that did not have signs of a concussion, they were called cosign negative, concussion sign negative. They were tested periodically throughout the season, kind of as a bit of a control. All right. So concussion sign positive were those individuals who had a sign of concussion during the game, and after the game they were tested. Concussion sign negative were those that had no signs of concussion. So essentially, no concussion injury was thought to have occurred. 22 players that had concussion sign positive, 61 players that had concussion sign negative. Most prevalent observable sign in these groups was balance disturbance. So that was what they witnessed from the sidelines to say this person has concussion sign positive. So here we go. Within groups, so measuring, meaning comparing to your own baseline, the concussion sign negative group had greater total symptoms and symptom severity after a match. So even though they didn't have a concussion, so this just kind of shows maybe physical exertion can influence symptoms a little bit. So they did have higher symptom severity scores after the match, but they didn't have any difference in their BES, and they had no difference in their SAC on the SCAT. So their standard assessment of concussion. Compared to baseline, the cosign positive group, so the group that had observable signs of concussion while during the match, they had higher total symptoms and symptom severity scores. They had higher total SAC, and they had the BES was no different. So this group both had increase in symptoms, but this group with concussion signs positive had increase in their SAC scores. Between the groups, looking between those who had positive signs and those that had negative signs, those with positive signs of concussion demonstrated greater change in total symptoms, symptom severity, and SAC, and there was no difference between the groups in BES. So BES is not a great test. Okay, it's very poor for detecting concussion. It's one of those things we just do, but we really don't have much good data to support it. And looking at their cog state neurocognitive performance, after controlling for individual baseline scores, there was a significant difference in performance of identification and one-back tasks. Concussion sign positive players on average demonstrated significantly slower reaction time and one-back task in comparison to those who didn't have signs of concussion. So basically what their conclusion was here is having people to observe on the sidelines is potentially helpful in picking up concussion injuries because it's an important component of it.